one of our mentoring sessions in the Rebel Mystic community. And this is where we get together and we start talking about different witchy topics. And we get together and go over our kit for the month. So this is our kit. We're doing magical oils. And in the Rebel Mystic community is where the real action happens. But I wanted to jump on here and connect with greater community to find out what your ideas of magical crafting are. What do you like to do? What are some of your favorite activities? What are some of your favorite um, types of things to make into a magical craft? One of my favorites is, of course, cooking. That's a great magical craft. And I think a lot of people don't think of it as a craft, so to speak. But think of it, witchcraft. Witchcraft. We are cunning folk. We craft things that serve our magic and our needs. So when we are crafting anything, that is magical crafting. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite books from when I first started out. I don't even know if you can get this book anymore, but it is Scott Cunningham's book, Spellcrafts. And he co-authored this one with David Harrington. And this thing is just full of some classic crafts and classic techniques and knowledge that are super helpful when you are trying to take on magical crafting. Um, Talks about empowering your crafts and how to make them magical. And honestly, seriously, you can take anything and make it magical. That's part of what makes us cunning. That's the part that makes this path so much fun, right? We can take a mundane thing like making a wreath or painting a picture or cooking dinner, make it into something magical and whimsical, purpose driven. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys what tea I'm drinking today. I am It is the evening unwind today. This one is a great decaffeinated tea if you're looking for something that helps you decompress from the day. And I'm telling you, like the past couple of days have been days for me. It started with a screw in my tire and it's kind of gone downhill from there. But not the best couple of days. So this tea is super, super nourishing and it's helping me a lot. So, and yes, one of the questions I'm getting is, do you drink it iced? Yes. A great tea to drink iced. It is herbal, but you can still ice it or brew it cold, do a cold brew. And it's really great for de-stressing and getting obstacles to kind of simmer down in your life. But yeah, any tea that I blend, all my teas can be consumed or brewed and then consumed cold. That's no problem. Some of them I think taste better when they're actually hot, but that doesn't take away from them so much. Some teas I prefer to brew cold, like my rosehip and nettle tea. That one I prefer to cold brew it on the counter. So what that means is I put the amount of tea I want in my water, like in a mason jar or some sort of sealed pitcher. Fill the pitcher up, put my tea in there, and just sit it on the counter for, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours, usually overnight. And then I throw it in the fridge so it doesn't ferment. I'm not making kombucha, but you can do that just to get more of the benefits out of some teas, out of some of the herbs, get nutrients out of it. And that, like we're talking about right now, is magical crafting. And I do like to encourage everybody watching right now, everybody here with me, please comment, share, and give me questions. If there's something that you're curious about, don't be afraid to ask. You know, sometimes we get a little shy. I even do it. Get a little shy sometimes. I don't want to be seen because not supposed to be seen, right? Seen, not heard, or heard, not seen. I don't know. Okay, let's go back to magical crafting. Like I said, this book I have had for probably nearly 20 years, so I'm not even sure if you can get it. I don't know if it's in circulation anymore. But this is one of my favorite books. And it's a great starter book. If you're looking for something to get you kind of launched out there and start magical crafting. You can learn how to make things like the shaman's arrow, the shaman's arrow, corn dollies, simple things like making your own candles, incense, and that sort of thing. It's a really good book. I know there are a few new books coming out or have come out this year on magical crafting. Um, it seems definitely so. So being in the witchcraft world for 20 plus years really gives you a good snapshot of the trends that kind of seem to cycle around. So when I first started, it was ceremonial witchcraft was the big thing. And it meant that you had to find a coven, you had to initiate, you had to go through the hierarchy, you had to earn the degrees, blah, 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 blah. And then I noticed I went through the 90s where it started, forming back or, circling back to the idea of folk traditions and not necessarily being so highly structured and masculine, really. It's a masculine structure. It's a very linear masculine structure. You have to memorize your incantations, you have to memorize your calls, your invocations. Everything had to be memorized. Not stand there with a piece of paper and to read what you wanted to say. And for me, that was exhausting. It didn't leave me enough room to be creative. It didn't leave me room to express myself in ways that were fluid. Maybe being a double Pisces is why I need that. But I see a lot of people need that. A lot of practitioners need that fluidity in their craft, and that's absolutely fine. And if you're kind of a crafter or if you like to create things, crafting doesn't have to be hot glue guns and popsicle sticks. Crafting can be a lot more than that. Um, just to let you know, I will be heading out in a few minutes because the Rebel Mystic community will be starting at 7. So if you're not a part of the Rebel Mystic community and you join us in our mentoring session tonight, it starts at 7 o'clock. You do have time to join as a Mystic level subscriber to get the live events. That link is over in my bio. And this is what we talk about. We talk about different techniques, different ideas, theologies, practices in witchcraft. And I lend you my 25 plus years, I'm dating myself, years of knowledge, wisdom, and experience to help you formulate your own path. This is not me telling you how to do it. I'll give you options, I'll give you ideas, but it's not me telling you what to do. That's if you've listened to the podcast, if you've read any of my books, if you follow me in any capacity, you'll know pretty quickly that I do not tell other witches what to do. Okay, I will backtrack a little bit on that because the only time I will is if I see that it might be dangerous. That's the only time that I'll be like, might not want to do that, right? But that's us looking out for each other. You should be able to say, hey, that might not be the safest thing in the world to do, so maybe let's try this. But I'm never going to tell you that the way you do your path is that you're doing it wrong. Because your path is your path. And that is not for me to determine if it's right or wrong. And I see a lot of that on this platform that witches are definitely okay with telling other witches how to behave and how to work their spells and changing the meaning of ingredients. I'm I'm not sure what happens there. Um if you've experienced that, please tell me about it because I'm always curious about it, curious about its origin and why it happens. I know some of it is about control. Um you know, we like to have control in our lives, some more than others. Or maybe it's just that it's out of fear too, fear that we will be looked at as inadequate if we don't pretend to know it all. And I'm going to tell you right now, witchcraft is massive. Witchcraft is so massive that there's no way you're going to know it all in this lifetime. You might not know it all in 2 lifetimes or 5 or 10 because there's so much knowledge out there. Some of it's very ancient, some of it's very new, some of it is a transmutation of the energies out there. And the best thing that we can do is understand how it works with our energy and our realm of experience. Have you ever gone back to read a book? Maybe you read it 5 years ago and you go back and read it again, and the meaning of the book, the message of the book, the feeling of the book is completely different. It does not feel the same. You don't get the same out of it as you did 5 years ago because you're not the same person. Our energy changes constantly. And if we are working and developing ourselves and improving ourselves to be better than we were yesterday, then of course, who you were 5 years ago is going to be a different person. So you're going to take different things from what you consume. And your path as a witch is going to be the same. What you experience today will not be the same 5 years from now. It probably won't even be the same a week from now. How many times have I done a meditation or a spell where I'm like, whoa, that was the coolest experience ever. I want to do it again. Do it again, do it again, do it again. The little kid in me wants to do it again, do it again. But here's what happens is when I become a better person, or I gain the understanding and I digest it and I utilize it and gain experience from that information, suddenly it's different for me the second time around because I don't need it anymore. I already have it. I've already used it. I've already utilized its purpose. So when I go back around to it, trying to get the same experience, it's not going to be the same. So that's when I have to move on. Level up, you move on. You level up, you move on. So, let's talk a little bit more about magical crafting and what we're going to talk about in the community. So I'm going to talk about candle making. I'm going to talk about how you can, use old wax, how you can use new wax, how you can take store-bought candles and make them more magical or more witchy. Then we're going to talk about oils because that's what's in our kit this week is we're doing magical oils for our ritual later this month. So if you're not a member of the Mystic level subscription in the Rebel Mystic community, you won't get this stuff. If you want to be a part of it, then you can head over to the links in my bio and you out. Thank you very much, Becky. I'm so glad you love the podcast. I'm glad that you're reawakening that witch inside of you. She is eager to get out. She wants to play, right? I'm so glad. I love seeing listeners join me on these lives, and I do them randomly. I am trying to create a schedule for lives, but I think it's more fun when I do it randomly because I reach different people at different times. So I'm so happy for you. Thank you. Like I said, we are discussing the magical crafting. A little tidbits here. Here's the book that I recommend if you can find it. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's even in print anymore, but this is one that I kind of, my little witchy girl grew up with it. And that book is probably 20 years old, but there are other books out there. So if you maybe don't want to go get more books, you're like me and you have too many, think about ways you could take a craft and make it magical. You're sitting down to make a holiday wreath, a Halloween wreath. what does the circle represent to you? What are the items that you put on that wreath represent for you? And incorporate that into how you feel in your craft. I am keeping eye on the time because I will be heading over to the Rebel Mystic community in about 10 minutes or so to start our official mentoring session in the community. And when I sit down and do magical crafting, like right now I'm teaching myself watercolor. I years ago did watercolor and I always kind of enjoyed it, but I never really um oh, you missed the this book. It's Spellcrafts by Scott Cunningham and David Harrington. This is the book that I have used probably for about 20 years. And it's a really good starter book for anyone that wants to do spell crafting. Like I said, he talks about in here, or they talk about, empowering your crafts. They talk about simmer pots and potpourri. They talk about, pentacles and sand painting, which is kind of cool. How many teaches you how to make your own sand paint? All kinds of fun stuff. Making your own besoms, your own brooms. Uh, oh, ooh, this one I haven't done in a while. He talks about making a magical mirror. So these are really super fun things that you could probably, find a lot of natural material. You're welcome, Becky. Um, and you can make your own candles. You can make your own wool or yarn, not your own wool because you're not sheep. So, but like think of magical crafting as things you would use around the house. Like maybe you like to quilt. So you make yourself a special quilt that you use for when you are reading your witchy books, okay? Or listening to your witchy podcasts and you're trying to learn. So this quilt is imbued with energy that helps you learn. So energy of air, energy of thought, energy of the mind. And so when you wrap yourself in this quilt, not only is it comforting, warm, it also helps energize you and infuse energy around you with that energy to learn and helps you digest information. So think of magical crafting in that sense. There's so many things you could do with it. Um, what else? What else can I talk about when I have about and then I gotta get going. Um, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this in the Rebel Mystic community. Um, like spell boxes. I know I've talked about this spell boxes before. They're really interesting because you can make them out of cardboard, you can make them out of paper, you can decorate a wooden box from the craft store, and this box will serve as either a protection for spells that you create or something to keep a spell that has some longevity to it inside so that it doesn't get it's not touched, so it's not damaged, so it's not walked on by the cat, that sort of thing. So keep in mind that there's so many ways to use spellcrafting, and the most mundane things can become your spellcraft. Me some examples out there. I'm drawing a blank of some of the things you can utilize besides like corn dollies and making candles and sort of thing. What are some of the things that you like to do? What are some of the crafts that you like to do? I know some people say, "Oh, I'm not creative, so I really don't do that." We're all creative in some form or another. Maybe your creative side is that you create websites or you go on Canva and you do digital design or um, Adobe, that sort of thing. So maybe that's your creative side. Maybe your creative side is in the kitchen and you're creating recipe, creating delicious meals. That's your creation. Um, I think we need to step away from the idea that creativeness or being creative means you have to master some sort of fine art. You have to master clay, you have to master um oils. You have to master music or singing or whatever. And I think that's something that we really have to be careful of when we're putting too many limitations on ourselves, really. And the things we create don't always have to look fabulous. They don't have to be gallery ready. They don't have to be ready to sold to that collector. They have to mean something to us. And that's the key right there. It just has to mean something to us. It has to mean something to our practice, and it has to relate to its purpose. Like I mentioned the quilt. You made yourself a quilt that you use only when you're reading your witchy books or when you're learning something. And that's its purpose. Maybe it doesn't look fabulous, beautiful. It's not going to win any ribbons at the fair, right? But that's okay. It does not have to. Not have to. And yeah, there's nothing that needs to be perfect about any part of this. Don't ever think that. Okay. Well, it is about time for me to head out so I can get ready over in the Rebel Mystic community. If you're not already over there, um, please join me over there. The links are in my bio if you're to. If not, if you already are a Mystic level subscriber, I will see you in the Rebel Mystic in a few minutes at 7 o'clock for our mentoring session, where we will go into detail about magical crafting and what we can do with that. All right. Have a great evening. Thank you very much, Becky. And I will see everyone later.